Welcome back, founders, dreamers, and deal makers. I'm Marvin, and with me today, we always got the one and only co host of the most, Will, the strategist who can turn complex capital markets into simple founder playbooks. Will, good to have you back.
You too, brother. Always
And
good to be
before,
here, Marvin. Today's episode is one that every entrepreneur should be paying attention to. We're talking about how commercial real estate giants are chasing AI and what it means for you if you're building a fundraising or you're thinking about crowdfunding.
100%. And before we dive into today's topics, we want to give a special shout out to all those who were affected by the government shutdown. And, I'm glad that you're back to work, and that way you can get back to building your dreams. And with that being said, let's get into it. Let's talk about how AI meets commercial real estate. So we want to talk about what the setup is. So a new CBS report says nearly every major commercial real estate firm is exploring AI. Not shocking. So according to JLL, 80% of commercial real estate companies are piloting artificial intelligence projects. I mean, that's 88%, but only about 5% say they'll hit their goals.
And that's huge, right? That means that the entire industry is experimenting, but almost nobody has nailed it. And it's new. I mean, you think about, yes, there's been a few iterations from Chat GP3 that was released initially like a year or two ago to now five, and AI is going to continue to iterate at a huge speed. But, this is an opportunity zone for founders. When there's disruption, there's opportunity, right? And big
Yep.
players are moving slowly, but people who are about it and who are thinking about it are more agile. Startups can solve a lot of these issues that the big companies are having a tough time getting to when it comes to AI, just because it is hard to steer that ship in a different direction.
Yeah, there's always gonna be a bogged down period with bureaucracy. Because I mean, you gotta think about it. A lot of these commercial real estate entities and companies, they have a lot of money, they have a lot of assets, and they specifically deal with a lot of data. So they have all those three elements combined. So, again, we're like talking about agility. That's where founders like you can come in, you can optimize, you can move faster, you can specialize, and anytime you can specialize, you can scale. So, there's definitely a window and there's an opening right now.
And the reason this matters right now is because of crowdfunding, right? Investors love backing companies that are riding or diving into big industry shifts. That's an opportunity for somebody to become a disruptor, as they call it. And it also can show that your idea fits inside of the AI wave, enabled in the efficiency, and then also raising a more compelling story to investors, right? So if you are out there looking for investors, you're looking for to raise funds, this grants you the opportunity to align with what everybody is talking about. AI right now is the wave, and it's not just a wave, it's a tsunami. It's going to be here for a while, it's going to be big, and it's going to take out and take on a lot with it. And so this is entrepreneurs' opportunity to jump into that.
100%. Will totally agree. So now we got to ask ourselves, what the founders can learn, and really, what do commercial real estate entities? What are their AI tools? What is it going to look like? What is the landscape? So let's look at these companies that are actually using AI, and we kind of broke it down into they're about three main buckets. So how we love list on this podcast, but the first thing is you would look at their operations, and in their operations, that's going to include predictive maintenance, smart building management, and real-time energy optimization. These are some of the key topics. And then the investment analytics. That's always analytics, and consuming data has always been at the pioneering of efficiencies for AI. So using AI to evaluate leases, location, spending trends, you name it. That's going to be a huge sector. And then, the tenant experience. So it always has to be the user experience is also going to be a big part of every business. So using AI, you're going to look at things as automation, comfort, lighting, personalization, and the list goes on and on.
Yep, and then here's the big thing, the translation for founders who are out there who are looking to jump into the market, right? Operational AI equals efficiency. So whatever your business is in, you can show how this tech can reduce both waste and cost. And this doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can be something as simple as putting in prompts that are pre-made into generative AI systems, and then having those things perform answers, for example, to customers, right? Things that would
Hmm.
take a lot of time or people, you can cut that cost with AI right now because it gathers not just the information that was in the past, but it's even gathering the most up-to-date information from your customers so you don't have to constantly update your websites.
Right.
Analytics and insight, right? Prove that you can make things better and faster and decisions with data better and faster. I'll give you an example of something that we're building. We're working with an African country right now, and we're working on ways to be able to vet people who are interested in becoming citizens quicker. So taking in all that information about that person and then condensing it into a way that it's a snapshot of who that person is, who is seeking citizenship in the country so that they can make those decisions quicker and with more information and insight. And then experience AI and value. Demonstrate how your innovation can improve the user's experience, right? Again, we talked about a customer service bot, but there are even AI being used right now that sounds just like human beings. And where you used to have a customer data center, the great thing about AI is that right now, the way it's set up is that it can see certain personal information about people and then perform tasks that most of the time customer service people couldn't do because they can't go into those parts of your account. But with AI, it can validate who your customer is in real time. It can send codes out to them to confirm who they are, and then it can open up that account, allowing you to make changes or adjustments on your behalf quicker than it would be with the typical experience. So these are the ways that you can make the user experience for your companies better.
Yeah, I couldn't. That's pretty valuable information, and I hope everybody back home is taking some notes. And what wants you to transition your mind to is, what's really the language of investors? It's not just about throwing AI and throwing a bunch of fancy bells and whistles, but you have to always ask yourself a question. Is it clear? Is it explainable? Can you explain your innovation in a way that feels tangible, measurable, and scalable? Because if you can do this, then it goes right in the next step, which is the user experience.
Right. Right, exactly, Marvin. You hit on the head. Crowdfunding investors don't want distraction or abstract or jargon, right? They want to know, how does this technology make your business smarter, faster, cheaper, run better, right? And a lot of times they're buying into you as a story. They want to understand, what is your understanding, because you have some knowledge that they want to gain. And by investing in you, they get a chance to be a part of that system. And so when you're thinking about these things, think about it from the investor side and what you would want to hear and what you would want to see in the company, and that typically bridges them to understand and gets them excited about investing in you. What do you think, Marvin?
Yeah, I think it definitely bridges the gap, and we've learned from not just speaking to investors and entrepreneurs, but just interacting with people. And the one thing that always comes up is like, what's the story behind it? Sometimes they'll stop you and be like, well, I want to hear the stories, because they want to understand the numbers. They want to believe. They want somebody they can trust. So the AI and the automatizations and the user interfaces, those are all things that complement your story.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, AI for example, the commercial real estate space gives you a fresh story, but your raise still needs numbers that people can trust. So here's some quick frameworks for how you do that, right? One, a narrative. Tie your startup to a broader shift. Example, we're building the same AI innovation transforming real estate into logistics or agriculture. How does that work, right? Give an example of it. And then the mechanism. Spell out how your technology works with your asset or market faster. How is it making it better, right? Spell out how it works, essentially. And then transparency. Build investors' confidence through clarity, compliance, and communication. So make it very clear about what you're going to do. You don't have to use a jargon. You don't have to overpraise it or overexcite it. Be very careful. Be very clear about where your technology sits and what your plan is. A lot of times, investors don't expect you to have the magic sauce, but they do expect you to have a vision, and they want you to be honest about how you're planning on getting there. They want clarity on how you're going to get there. And so that communicating that in that way helps them understand that you're not just full of puffery, but you actually have a plan in mind on how you're going to get there. What do you think, Mark?
I mean, you keep hitting the nail right on the head. Speaking to everybody back home, you got to remember that, this isn't just for tech startups. So we're in an agile world. So, if you're in real estate, you're in manufacturing, healthcare, yada, yada, energy, AI automation can boost your story. That's what we keep trying to emphasize. What's your story? So, crowdfunding in general isn't about access. I mean, sorry, it is about access. And, it gives you a hook that feels current and credible for people. So, what's your story?
Right. Well said, Marvin. I mean, like big companies may be slow to execute, but you can use that to your advantage, right? The crowd loves an underdog with a strategy. They love an underdog with a strategy. And
Yeah.
particularly for our black founders out there, right? This is your opportunity, again, to level the playing field. AI allows you to go in there and put together and get knowledge that you've never had before, maybe hadn't had access to before. And the way that works in live terms, a real strategy for that being able to work, is that when you look at AI, I'll give you an example. I have a prompt set up that anytime I want to validate, and I've shared this prompt with my friends, my
Yeah.
cousin here, Marvin. Anytime you want to set up a business idea, you put this prompt in, and it will produce for you an executive summary that's no more than one page. It'll produce a 5 slide deck presentation for investors with financials. And then it will also give you about a 2,000 to 3,000 word business plan along with sightings and references and quotes and that you can use as your framework for filling in your idea but also validating your idea. And then it allows you to quickly be able to do that in about 5 minutes and read through your idea and say, man, would I invest in this? Or allow you to gain more information. You see something in there and now you can go down that rabbit hole and learn more information. That is the advantage that AI is giving Brown and founders right this minute. And those are the advantages that we should be taking advantage of right now.
Whew, what a time to be alive, I swear. So I know a lot of you are probably thinking, that sounds good, but like, what is the action plan? And a lot of times I ask myself that too. And as Will stated, now that's alleviated with a lot of these AI prompts and tools. But if you got a pen and paper ready, we're never going to leave you out here without some action plans. So, all right, founders, it's time for your playbook. Here's how to turn everything we talked about into your action plan. Will, take it away. Give the people what they want.
So step one, audit your market, right? Identify big players, the struggles that they may have, and see how you can fill the gaps. Clarify your tech edge, right? See how that AI, even ask chat or AI, how do I use AI in order to make this a better situation? Structure your raise, and then also tell your single story, right? Tell a story about your financials, tell a story about your marketing, tell a story about you as a founder, your asset, your innovations, and then own your risk. Don't just pitch the upside. Show your understanding of the downside. The investors know the downside. Trust me, they got analysts that before you even meet them, they're probably looking into space and they probably looked it up and down. Don't be afraid to let them know that you see the downside. That way they know that you're not just pie in the sky, you're an experienced entrepreneur.
Definitely, definitely. Quick question for you, Will. If a founder could focus on only one metric to impress investors, what would it be?
I would say efficiency gains, right? How much does your innovation improve in a real stat, right? Like some real numbers. How much does your system improve? I'll give you an example, right? We want to digitize broker dealer relationships. Well, we would cut back office costs by 80% by digitizing it, right? We would also reduce buffers when it comes to investors by 30% by adding this real estate piece that every single person who is looking for investment should have some real estate tied to it. Those are things, those are tangible numbers that you can look up and say, okay, these things actually exist. These things will actually be there, right? So to wrap it up, you are literally looking for a situation where you're looking for asset plus innovation plus access plus growth. And crowdfunding can do that. And AI can level that playing field for you. What do you think, Marvin?
I mean, I think that's gold. I think that's specific, believable, powerful, accurate. And that's exactly what drives confidence in crowdfunding, and that's exactly why we are so confident that crowdfunding is a great vehicle. So, man, there you have it. The AI surge in real estate and commercial real estate isn't just a business story. It's a mirror for every founder figuring out how to use tech and storytelling to stand out.
Awesome. And until next time, right, keep your laces tight, keep your numbers tight, and your vision clear.
Stay blessed, stay well, and invest. Peace and love.
Talk to you next time.